Hi everybody, I'm Zach and I like movies, and I'm back again for another entry in my Letterboxd Criterion Challenge for 2024. And today's prompt was number 6, which was watch a movie with the longest runtime in your watch list. And boy, did I pick a big one. 3 words for you. War and Peace. This is the 1967 adaptation of Leo Tolstoy's epic novel. I think when I just said the words War and Peace, a massive tome of literature just like landed in your head with a thud. And this is the more epic than epic adaptation from director Sergei Bondarchuk. I probably butchered that name. I'm not good with Russian pronunciations. And yeah, this is wow, this is a long one. This is a big one, and my God, was every hour worth it? This was an incredible movie, really, really phenomenal and unreplicatable. Absolutely, just once in an absolute, like, not even a millennia, like a lifetime. We're never getting a movie like this again. Like, I cannot undersell how unreplicatable this movie is. So I'm just going to give you some hard numbers. So, 6-year production time from 1961 to 1967. A massive sprawling cast with over 300 speaking roles, 103 filming locations, 12,000 extras. 1,000. A 7-hour runtime. And split into 3 films that it's split into 4 parts in the story, but covered across 3 films. And with a budget that was backed by the Soviet authorities and with services and extras and horses provided by the Soviet army at the time, had a budget of like 8.3-ish million rubles in 1967, which today is in the ballpark of $600 to $700 million in today's currency. So yeah, just the USSR just throwing a small economy's worth of money at one movie is ballistically nuts. It's insane. And my God, at the very least, this movie looks as expensive as it is, and it's gorgeous. My God. And honestly, watching it, the one movie that I was reminded most of all was actually Kenneth Branagh's adaptation of Hamlet. Just a no stone left unturned, no expenses spared adaptation. Just every word that is on the page gets put on the screen. Everything. An everything adaptation. And the kitchen sink. Just for good measure. And man, it is honestly stupendous to watch. And I think the sheer ambition of that is probably worth just the 5 stars alone. But just gonna get some. But I am gonna get some complaints out of the way. I didn't love all of it because I think there are parts of it that do kind of maybe not so much repeat themselves, but definitely like get the point across pretty well. So like I don't know. Maybe it could have been 6 hours. Who knows? But who knows? And it's told. And I would say, as well performed as the characters are, I never really fully got a sense of like their like complete interiority, which the movie kind of understands. This is that kind of part of an adaptation that is really just hard to adapt in film because a lot of the internal monologue, like say internal monologues or just like pontificating of like the character's thoughts and philosophies. That's things that can easily be spread out across dozens and dozens of pages, and here they kind of try to mitigate that with some narration, but a lot of the time that just came off more as clunky than anything, which honestly, speaking of those dozens of pages, this movie did kind of sometimes replicate that feeling of like when you're reading a book and you're just kind of get lost in the words and your eye, and you're just kind of like you like zone out. And you have to start the page over again. That's kind of how it was for me. And there are a few, and I would also say there are like certain beats in some of the war scenes, especially towards the end, where they sort of lean a little. There's definitely an easy to read as nationalist filmmaking. Like there's a after the big battle, there's a brief montage of still photographs of the soldiers mid battle, and the narration's going on about like oh, it's how brave and about how brave and honorable they were, and it definitely feels like again with all the money that the Soviet government was throwing at this, it stands to reason that it would be inevitably something like outwardly patriotic. But again, that's not so much like a not calling War and Peace propaganda, but I'm saying there's definitely an easy to read it as that. But and also there's like some certain cast and reading some other readings from like people who read the book. There's like some certain casting decisions that feel odd because Sergei, the director himself, plays one of the main characters, character Pierre, who actually goes through a lot of character development, and I personally thought he did fine. Although I have to admit, I was a little distracted because he kind of looked like a Russian Oliver Platt. and I finally caught up on the Bear, so like I was like watching Uncle Jimmy's younger days in the Hellenic Army, and that was just crack, and I was just cracking myself up like that. But anyway, but apparently Pierre is like supposed to be in his early 20s, and Sergei was like 40 something, and he definitely never looks younger than 32. But that's sort of like, as speaking as someone who hasn't read the book, I feel like that's not a deal breaker, but it definitely could be like, it definitely did make me think twice about like, I don't know, especially given that how he has like something resembling of a romance with Natasha, who in the book is supposed to be 16, going on like, I don't know, 18, however long it takes. So it again, I don't think it was like a deal breaker or anything, but it did make me go, you know. But that's that's like the major complaints that off the top of my head anyway. This movie is absolutely stupendous. My God, if you get nothing else from this review, you should get that this movie is huge. Like honestly, bearing witness to this movie is like standing in the presence of a monument. Like it's like your neck just cranes up. You're just taken aback. Like this is huge. This is so big, and it's so real, and everything is in camera, and it keeps going and keeps getting bigger. And a worry that I had about the movie was that it would be kind of that, you know, yeah, they would have these grand battles, but there would also be this like very stuffy kind of slow dramatic parts. But no, this movie is very much it's a very lively film, and it has great energy. I was not expecting a lot of the like interesting editing decisions and camera work here. It's some of the best like uses, I think, of like a blocking and like great panning shots, especially in these battle scenes. And I think as much as I might complain about like some of the characters like feeling more like not so much fully fleshed out for me, but more like they feel more like vessels for the movie's ideas. And I think but as much as I can say that all of the performances are fantastic. Like just to kind of break the parts down. Our first part deals with it's set in like 18. It begins in 1805, and we have we have a son of a nobleman named Pierre and his friend Prince Andrei Bolkonsky. And Andrei joins the Imperial Russian Army, and Pierre is sort of dealing with like sort of dealing with more like the noble side of things, and he finds a wife and eventually gets something resembling respect from his father, who is the bastard of. He's a bastard son, and then Andrei takes a campaign into Austria, where he witnesses like two massive battles, and this is when Russia was being invaded by Napoleon, and wow, when this movie hits you with these battles, they are massive. Like, jeez, seriously, and it's so just so impressive. I can't imagine any of this as like a as being staged. I just can't comprehend the shot composition or a shot list here, because there's so much of it. There's like hundreds to thousands of soldiers like running around this field, and in these formations, and like fire, and there's cannon fire, and there's smoke, and there's horses that are just taking nosedives into the dirt, and and the costuming of this film, it's so crazy. Oh, it's crazy. Like, again, this movie is as expensive as it looks, and you still get some like really you still get some expressive moments in the editing and even some of the narration. Like, there's you follow someone on horseback, and you're on the horse watching their POV, and then they get shot, and then they fall. Well, and then we hear their thoughts of like, what's happening? I'm not moving. I think I've been killed. And man, and then like that battle ends with like just this huge helicopter like pan upward, and like all of these horses are running around, and battle around, and cannons going off, and smoke, and wheels as rises passing up into the clouds. It's nuts. But then in part 2, you basically get only the stuff with Natasha. It's basically Natasha's part of the movie, and she's a young woman. She's 16. She meets up with am I mistaken? Was she meet up with Andrei? Sorry, I had to check my notes. Yes. She meets up with Andrei, and they declare their love for each other, and eventually. And you still have these wonderful, great scenes, and like the staging and lighting here is really impressive. And even these like quieter moments where Natasha will be sitting in the dark and talking with someone, and the camera will like gradually be slowly be pushing inward into their little dark corner, and gradually like light will like shine on them as their conversation lights up, and it feels, and it's a thing that like the movie never feels dull, and it tries to never let a moment not feel vibrant. There's always something to be amazed by, whether it's like the costuming or the performance or the performances, especially in this part of the movie, where Natasha eventually she plans to elope with this other man, and Andrei hears it and swears off their marriage, and she has like this emotional breakdown, and you really feel her pain, and it's crazy, and it's crazy, and it's all told in these like lavish ballrooms, in these lavish places. The interiors are just as massive and crazy to look at as the battles. And speaking of the battles, the part 3 is like just like 80 something minutes of one massive battle. This was the big battle of Borodino. This is where Napoleon really invaded, and Napoleon is like the special guest star of this part of the movie. And man, like the grandeur of this movie. Again, I'm gonna be a broken record, but like this needs to be seen to be believed of how huge this movie is. It's so massive, and the fact that it's so well staged, and it's like the production design too. There's so much. It never feels. It never feels stately. It never feels. It feels so alive. It feels so huge. It feels so overwhelming. Like there are like so many people, like the thousands and thousands of men here. They're just I kept, and like there's even like some. I just kept thinking how the continuity got maintained, because there's like shots of like stampeding horses. I'm like, how do you keep continuity with stampeding horses? And like you have, oh my god, and it's just, oh, it's so big, and like smoke and fire and everything, and all kinds of cannon fire is like going off, and everyone is like chasing and running around. It's just so massive, and then you have these like panning shots across the carnage of this battlefield, and it's just so big. And then when that battle finally ends, because again, that's like the whole movie. That's like the whole part of the movie. The fourth part of the movie opens on Moscow being emptied out and sacked by the French. And the sacking of Moscow is crazy, because buildings are set on fire, and it's all kinds of pandemonium, and you have characters and like again having hundreds of extras, so many extras, so much fire, and you see Pierre running around and having trying to save this baby, and everyone's like trying, and like god, it's just, again, like I kept, every time I thought the movie couldn't get bigger, it just did. And oh man, I honestly, it honestly is an overwhelming experience, because my god, it's just so phenomenal. It's biblical. The scale is biblical, and we're never gonna get another movie like it. It's beautiful. It's massive. It's beautiful. It's overwhelming, and in its scale and its impact. And sure, I could find things to complain about, and sure, I think you would. It's best to take this movie in chunks. I mean, it was really built to do that, built to be like that. It's like 3 movies, and like the first one's like 2.5 hours or something. But well, it's like 4 movies. But regardless, it's such a massive movie. It's such a powerful movie, and it's honestly, it sure as hell better have been, because it's all of it, all of War and Peace, and everything that those words kind of entail. And yeah, I'm just amazed by it, and I really think it deserves the attention, the more attention. I think it deserves all the eyes that can see it. If you can't see this, you really should. It's streaming on the Criterion channel right now, and you really should see it. It's a big one, and it's marvelous. And sure, pace it out as however you please. I did that. I took I took breaks, did exercises, kept my blood pumping, and yeah, it's just wow, what a picture. Never getting anything like it. Again, beautiful, powerful, and I'm repeating myself again, but yeah, it was War and Peace. And I think that'll be it. I really gotta get a nap in. I'm very tired, and yeah, that'll be it. Comment, like, subscribe. Hopefully you saw War and Peace. What's the longest movie you've seen? I think the longest one I sat through in like basically one sitting was Showa. That was a whole other experience. Jesus. But yeah, War and Peace. Forever? I don't know. And yeah, I'm Zach. I like movies. I really got to take a nap. But after that nap, I will be watching more movies because I have a lot more movies to watch. And I hope you watch movies too. And I will see you all later.